Those divided will not survive. What is to come?
Border halls through Xal'atath and Dream and
World of Warcraft Midnight officially launched March 2nd, 2026, and was aggressively marketed to the player base as the definitive chapter where we would finally confront a massive cosmic void invasion. The first few weeks held the illusion of a grand war, but the hype has entirely evaporated, and player retention has crashed. Blizzard has just dropped the PTR development notes for patch 12.1 Curse of Ula'tek, and it's a textbook example of narrative cowardice and structural degradation. Instead of paying off the core premise of the expansion, Season 2 delivers instanced world bosses, a detached troll-themed side quest, and cosmetic housing band-aids that completely ignore the fundamental mechanical rot of the game. Today, we are auditing the exact architecture of patch 12.1 and exposing why this expansion is officially bleeding out.
Gonna have a bad time.
The most fatal flaw of Midnight right now is the total collapse of its narrative momentum. You do not sell an entire expansion on a high-stakes apocalyptic war against Xal'atath and the Void, only to pull the handbrake in the very first major content update. Instead of advancing the cosmic threat, patch 12.1 drags us to the Coiled Isle, a corrupted ecosystem filled with poisonous water right off the coast of Suleiman.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
Why are we here? Because Zul'jahn delivered an ominous monologue during the main campaign, and is now unleashing Ula'tek. This detour leads directly into the new raid, the Venomous Abyss. This is an unmitigated pacing disaster. We are shelving the primary existential void antagonist to go kill an ancient snake and clean up a localized troll threat. Yay, it's the absolute definition of filler content. The writers are stalling. When an expansion is already losing the attention of its player base, sidelining the main villain for a random island detour destroys any remaining narrative urgency. We're not fighting a war, we're running errands while the narrative team tries to figure out what to do with Xal'atath.
For a modern gaming audience.
The systemic failures extend directly into the open world architecture. Blizzard is introducing layers as their new single boss format. They are taking the world bosses that usually prowl the patch zones and ripping them entirely out of the open world. Instead, these encounters are being locked inside instanced, delve-like arenas with variable difficulty settings scaling all the way up to flexible 15 to 25-man mythic groups. On paper, Blizzard is trying to sell this as a quality-of-life feature to avoid the chaotic race-to-tag dynamic. In reality, this is the clinical sterilization of the MMO experience. They are actively killing the open-world experience that made world bosses fun. The entire appeal of a world boss is the organic, unpredictable chaos of piling onto a massive enemy with an uncoordinated group of strangers. By putting these bosses into an instance lobby queue with a difficulty slider, they are turning WoW into just another miserable instance finder.
Don't ask questions. Just consume product and then get excited for next product.
Then, we must look at the actual combat rhythm. The PTR notes confirm that Blizzard is attempting a massive combat overhaul to address healer burnout caused by spiky damage patterns. Their solution is to increase player health pools and enemy damage output while heavily toning down big DPS cooldown multipliers. While flattening the damage profile sounds reasonable in a vacuum, it fundamentally alters the mechanical reality in Mythic Plus, dropping a mechanically dense new dungeon into the Season 2 pool while actively rewiring the core damage rhythm is a recipe for a miserable push.
Death is close.
Finally, there is the player housing update. Blizzard is raising the housing level cap to 12. They are adding a blueprint system so you can save and share layouts, simplifying the die crafting system, and throwing in pet beds so you can display your companions. This is a classic deflection tactic. The core complaint since launch has not been about a lack of pet beds. The player base has explicitly diagnosed that the housing system lacks integrated social features, the grinds are fundamentally unrewarding, and the neighborhoods feel completely hollow. They are building a nicer roof on a house with a rotten foundation. But perhaps the most glaring structural red flag is where this delayed narrative is actually heading. The current data mining and storyline breadcrumbs heavily suggest that when we finally do track down Xal'atath in the final patch, we are heading right back underground. Let that sink in. We just spent almost the entirety of the war within trapped in subterranean caverns dealing with massive visual and environmental fatigue to pull us out of that, only to drag the player base right back beneath the surface to conclude a cosmic void war, is a masterclass in recycling assets and completely ignoring player exhaustion.
Kudos, Elaine, on a job done.
The reality of Midnight is inescapable. The expansion launched with false momentum, and patch 12.1 proves that Blizzard does not have the structural discipline to maintain the narrative or the mechanics. The open world is being sterilized, the Void War is on hold for a snake hunt, and the combat overhaul is a massive gamble, and we are apparently destined to end up trapped in another cave. What do you think of the Curse of Ula'tek PTR notes? Are you still grinding the Midnight Keys, or has this expansion already lost you? Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you in the Kobold's Cave.
That's true. That's like 100%. Everything you said was true. It's all going to be gone.